Hey everybody, this video is being made to sort of talk about and show off the latest machine that I'm going to be posting on Craigslist. This machine is a Necchi Supernova BF, and this machine is the second Necchi I will have on Craigslist currently. I've restored a number of Necchi sewing machines before. The current one is a BU Mira, and it was made in the early 50s, around 1952-53. This machine represents the successor model, and you'll notice that the styling is different. It uses a similar sort of sage green color, but then it sets it off with a two-tone, a cream. And whenever I see these machines, these Supernovas, they remind me a lot of Italian Vespa scooters from the same period. Like a lot of things in the sort of mid-late 50s period, you tend to see two-tone color schemes. And anyway, this machine, like the Mira model that's already on Craigslist, is like the other. It is all steel. It is all metal. It is one of the finer Necchi machines that they ever produced. The machine has a revolving needle plate, and of course it has, like most vintage machines, it's a very simple machine to control. You have stitch length control on the front, and then of course you have back tacking or reverse right here. You can drop the feed dogs. You can do free motion work on this if you would like. And the machine has a built-in bobbin winder, which is hiding behind this little panel. The Italians took extra care with theirs to sort of put them so that it would have a certain look, but it works beautifully. And the machine is beautifully made. The hand wheel even is is a machined and polished aluminum. The tolerances or the closeness of all the moving parts in Necchi machines are known to be extra close and tight, which is why the machines run so wonderfully quiet and with so little vibration. That's one of the things that they are known for. They were made in Pavia, Italy, and later Necchi machines are not the same. They eventually stopped making them in Italy and they started producing them in Asia, and they're not anywhere near the quality that these were. But anyway, the machine has had a full going over and it is ready to sew. This particular machine, you'll see this in the posting, but in addition to the accessories, I'm including an LED light that will, an LED lamp light that will actually be included with this machine. Some sewing machines have fairly weak lamps. The little light bulbs don't put out much light, and with this machine I chose, when I restored it, I chose to do an accessory light. So you'll actually have a much brighter light than you would normally have. Let's see, what else to say about it. Like I say, the good Neckis were made in Italy and they were all steel. And anyway, I'm going to do some sewing on this machine to demonstrate it. And one of the things you'll see is that this machine is an oscillating hook. In many of my videos, you hear me talking about and going on and on about the rotary hooks. Rotary hooks that were found in certain Singer models make wonderfully straight stitches, as well as those that were made by the White Sewing Company, and I've got a number of those machines on Craigslist too. But this is an example of an oscillating hook machine that makes gorgeous stitches. So don't think you can't get a nice straight stitch from an oscillating hook. Anyway, it takes class 15 bobbins. This is a low shank Necchi model, which is unusual, but it makes finding accessories very easily. I'm including quite a few accessories as it is, but if you want to buy more, you can. Anyway, I am going to start sewing, and of course I'm going to start with my long straight stitch as I normally do, and I've already got the fabric up here. I always do testing before I list a machine, and so I'm going to go ahead and start sewing with her. You'll hear it run. Neckis are known to run nice and smooth and pretty quiet, particularly for oscillating machines. Oscillating shuttle machines tend to make slightly more observable sound than, say, a rotary would, but all machines have some sound. They all have different sounds depending on how they're designed and who made them. And I'm going to speed up a bit. And then, of course, show off the back tacking. And then I'll come over here and I'm going to shorten my stitch length because I want to show you guys that it can make. This machine can also make very fine stitches like the rotary hooks. How fine you need your stitches is really up to you. If you're a quilter, if you like to sew knit, sometimes you'll want extra short stitches. Some of you won't actually use that feature, but I never know, until I start talking to people who are interested in the machine, what they might want. So this particular fabric, it's a lightweight cotton woven fabric. I think it's a muslin. And you can see, let's see if I can get this up here where you guys can see the stitch quality. Stitch quality is amazing. And on the back, you'll see I have sort of a light mint green thread on this side. And this is, let's see, this is 4 layers of a lightweight material. I'm going to go ahead and I'll put 2 more on here just to show you guys. 6 layers of muslin is nothing for a vintage machine with this kind of strength and power. But I like to, you folks have a variety of different types of sewing you do. So I try to demonstrate a few different things in my videos so you can kind of get an idea. I'm going to go back to the long length stitch. And you can see it's going right through the 6 layers, no problem. I'm going to adjust my presser bar pressure. I'm going to adjust that a little bit because I've got a little bit more fabric that I need to move. I had it up because I was originally, when I was first testing the machine, I was starting with about 2 layers of muslin fabric and was going a little bit lighter. So now you see there it is with the 6 layers of muslin. And then I'm going to do some heavier fabric for you guys. This is Levi's good quality denim off of an old pair of Levi's, and you'll see the big seam there. Always a good test of a sewing machine to see what it will tackle. And we're going to put it through its pace here and see how it does. Now, one of the things you'll notice is with the seam here, this seam is extra thick, and so I'm going to lighten my pressure again and make sure that that seam, let me get a little bit closer, make sure that the seam goes under the foot, and that's something that you sometimes want to do manually to make sure you get your project to move. We'll come over here again. And it went right across, no problem. And I'll show you guys how she did. Now, one of the things you always want to do when you're looking at a sewing machine in terms of testing it is notice not only how do the stitches look when you go from, that's 2 layers of denim, it's a good weight cotton denim, and then look how it does over these rolled seams. And remember, there's a seam on the other side as well. And what you're really looking for here is stitch straightness, but you also want to look at the tension and notice that the machine did not miss a beat with its tension, and that's one of the hallmarks of a really high quality machine. Now, when I was coming down, originally I was coming in this direction, and you'll see the edge. You always want to watch when you're sewing to make sure that your edges go under the foot, because sometimes, in this case, the foot caught the edge, and so I stopped, and then once I got that under the foot, the machine kept going. In this direction, of course, I was passing over the same seam, but not on the very edge here, and so it went over a little more smoothly. So again, let me see, I don't know if, the green is not going to show as well on the denim. Let me see, I can try to show it to you. Now, it's right here, but it's very difficult to see on that denim, but the black thread should show up well for you guys. So, again, that is a great example of a really strong sewing machine. Lastly, I'm going to show you guys some garment leather. Some of you like to sew leather, and you can. You always want to look not just at the thickness of the leather, but really look at how dense it is, right? You want leather that's flexible, because flexible leather will sew for you. And sometimes you will want, stack this differently. Sometimes you're going to want a roller foot. I'm going to try it without, see if it will sew for me. Sometimes a roller foot's helpful because leather is a little sticky and the machine is strong enough to sew it, but it will sometimes bind up under the foot. So let's see if this will feed for us. I think it will, but I want to make sure. And it finds it's actually going through beautifully. Of course, I can back tack with the leather as well. I'm using a fabric needle here. I believe I've got a size, I think this is a size 14. And ideally, you want a leather tip needle. You can vary the size depending on your thread weight and your, the thickness of your leather. And we'll come back. I'm going to go a little more slowly so you can see it moving. Again, sewing beautiful stitches and back tacking. The key to any sewing machine when you're trying to decide, can this machine handle the material? Part of what you're looking at is, again, the needle type. I'll show you the stitches. Really, really nice stitches there in the leather. And I think the light green will actually show up well on the back of this sample. Those are really nice, strong, consistent stitches, what Italian machines were known for back when they were made in Italy. But getting back to materials, if you want to know about feeding a material in the foot, think about what is, how much space do you have underneath the presser foot? And we saw that when I was going over that seam with the denim. How strong is your motor? All vintage machines generally have motors that are more than powerful enough to handle lots of materials. But this space is important because if you don't have enough space under your foot, the machine is going to fight with itself, even if it's strong enough to push it, and you're not going to have success. The other thing, of course, is keeping a nice, fresh, sharp needle in place and making sure you have the right needle tip for what you're trying to sew. And as well as you wanted to adjust the presser bar pressure depending on how much material you're trying to feed. So again, this is just, these are just some helpful hints when you're trying to get things sewn. This machine comes with I believe it's 1.1 amp, so it's more than an amp motor, which is quite powerful for any home sewing machine. But again, if you have heard of Necchi machines, the quality of the Necchis from around the 1940s when they started, they were an industrial machine manufacturer, up through the late 1950s and maybe 1960 or so. But after then, the quality starts to go downhill. So you want to find a Necchi that was built in that time frame, and they are like little Ferraris. They really are, and that's why I find them worth restoring. So anyway, if you guys have any questions or you'd like to set up a time to come and do some test sewing on it, send me an email. I can also demonstrate the machine for you if you're new. You can bring your own materials, or you can certainly use some of those that I have here, and I'd love to show it to you. Again, like any vintage machine, you want to find a Necchi that's been restored and fully overhauled, as I have done with this one, so that you are good to go and you can focus on sewing and not worry so much about the machine itself. So thanks for watching, folks.